lightning view form. We'll start with the lightning view form. So what is this lightning view form and how we are going to use it? So let us start with the lightning view form. So that's a lightning record view form. Let us go with the lightning record view form, record edit form, record form, then how to use your LDS services. First of all, when I'm going to the concept of record view form, we want to display particular record in the page. If you want to display particular record in the page, how do you display it? You want to display particular record in the page. If you remember the Visual Force page, we used to give standard controller equal to account. We should say output field account dot name, output field account dot industry, output field account dot rating. Am I right? Do you remember how do you display a particular record on the VF page? We used to give Apex page standard control equal to account. Then we should say output field account dot name, output field account dot phone, output field account dot industry. Am I right? The same structure. Now in the VF page, whatever if you want to refer to a particular object and create a new record, edit a record, delete a record, display a record, we are using a functionality of standard controller. Am I right or no? Okay. So what we used to do? Apex page then we should do creation of record, editing the record, all this stuff. Right? Reading a record, editing a record, all this stuff we used to do. The same concept in the Lightning we call LDS. Lightning Data Services. Whatever you are giving with the Apex page standard controller in the VF page, the same functionality in the Lightning we refer to as LDS, Lightning Data Services. When you go with the standard control equal to account, here what we do, if we give ID of a record, we will refer to that record. Am I right? If I give ID of a record, in the URL, question mark ID equal to so and so ID, whichever the ID I have given, that record I am going to refer. Or else I can refer to the record, display the data. Or I may prefer to create a record. I may prefer to edit the record, delete the record. Display, create, edit, delete. Display, create, edit, delete. Display, create, edit, delete. All these services are available on VF page, standard controller save, edit, delete, view. Am I right? Whatever we are able to achieve using the standard controller in the VF page, same concept is used in the Lightning. When I am going to use standard controller in the VF page, whichever the page which contains the standard controller, it will run in the context of user. If I am going to use any VF page, the standard controller equal to account, the VF page is going to run in the user context. When I say user context, user OWDs, user profile, user sharing rules, all of them are taken into consideration. Always a VF page will run in the context of user. If you want to avoid running this in the context of user, you go to Apex class, put the data in the Apex class, take the variables from the Apex class. If I straight away refer to a record from VF page, it is a user context. I don't want to run in the user context, put the same record in the variable in the Apex class and display that variable. That variable will not run in the context of user. But if you are trying to take Apex page standard controller, the standard controller will always run in the context of user. No, I don't want to run this the VF page in the form of user context. Then take an Apex class, put the data, whatever the data we are trying to fetch from the Apex class database, fetch the data, put it in a variable, display that variable in the VF page. Now the variable will not run in the user context. Are you getting my point? So if you are referring to any subject data with the standard controller, the VF page always runs in the user context. Similarly, LDS is also always runs in the context of user. LDS services always run in the context of user. LDS services always run in the context of user. I hope you're good. So whatever we are able to achieve in the VF page as a standard controller, the replica of the same context, the replica of the same concept in the Lightning is LDS. Again I repeat, whatever you are able to achieve in the VF page with the help of standard controller, the same functionality if replicate in the Lightning, it is LDS, Lightning Data Services. I hope you are good with this. Right now? Okay. Let us move on to the first story. First story is which record you are referring to. Now, there in the Visual Force page, we have standard control. But in the Lightning, there is no concept called standard control. Then how will you specify? In the component itself, you have to say record view form, which record you want to refer, from which object you want to refer. Which record you want to refer, from which object you want to refer. Which record you want to refer, which object you want to refer. I am repeating. Which record you want to refer, which object you want to refer. This we want to give it. So let me give you. So basically, whatever the code you are finding here, it is a SLDS grid you are finding here, right? It is exactly same like your layout item. Layout with a layout item. Layout with a layout item. Padding, okay. Layout with a layout item. Whatever we are doing with the layout, there was the component again. Whatever you are doing with the layout, in the layout what we are doing was layout with the layout item what you are doing. Same thing if you want to achieve in terms of CSS. Same thing if you want to achieve in terms of CSS, what we do? We will give it as a SLDS box. Take a box. Okay, SLDS box or SLDS grid layout. What is the meaning of grid? Break the rows into number of columns. SLDS grid. Okay, and each column size. Each column size in the grid. Each column size. Okay, 1 of 2. If size is 2, you are breaking them into 2. And in that one of 2 means 1 column. Okay, in the size of 2, 1 is used for first column, second is used for second column. Now, if you are feeling it is complex, we will go with our simplified format. What is it? Layout item, size 6 by 12, size 6, size 4. So that we get 1, 2, 3. Okay, I'll show both of them. Then we just have a quick context here. So basically, this is used for what? Displaying the record. If you want to display any particular record, then we go for Lightning record view form. If you want to display any record, then we go for Lightning record view form. So let me give you here. Okay, I'll explain about those points. Just let me finish up this. Okay, let me do with this context first. Now, what are you trying to convey? Your component, Lightning record view form. Which record is this? ID we are supposed to give. So go back to one of the record. Object. Now we are trying to display here. Output field. So here we are supposed to give title and field name. So we are going to use a lightning output field. Let me show that field again. Lightning output field. Now when you go to the lightning output field, name of the field, we're just mentioning the name of the field. So go back to here. Field name. What is the field name we have? Name. We have given it. So what was that? ID of the record, record view form, ID of the record, object ID. Now, whichever the record ID we are passing, we are trying to display it here. Let me go with this writing application. I will tell you context where it is going to be helpful to you. So what we got here? Account name, industry. This is how the data is displayed. Name of the account, industry. I guess other two values are not available. What was that? Go back to this. Let me go back. Come again.
One of
Size
two,
one
one
of
of
two.
two.
Yeah.
Everything.
Okay. It's okay. So basically, now basically I was supposed to give multiple rows, Amma. It's not one of the row is okay. Basically I was supposed to give multiple rows. I was supposed to give multiple rows. Okay. So what is our easy way of displaying this? Tell me what is the other way of displaying this? We get same concept we can go with. Lightning layout. Lightning size 3. Right. Right, boss? This is how we got it. Now the point is where this context is helpful. Okay, we are taking one lightning record view form, we are showing it. But where actually this will be helpful to you. Now, your yesterday's concept, sir, you have done it. Now, tell me one context that will be helpful to us. Now I have a list of application like this. Let's say I have list of production. I have taken a Amazon.com. When you take Amazon.com, I have a list of products like this. Or when you have taken some Swiggy, or you have taken a list of cars, list of mobiles. When I click on this, what are the product I selected? The product description should come here. I have taken some, let's say, SFDC. List of courses are displayed like this. When I click on admin, now you need to get the details. Course admin, duration, verify fees, mode of training, faculty. Whichever the course is selected, the course data should be displayed here. All these courses are available to me in the form of what? All these courses are available to me in the form of table. In the table, we have a table called course, which contains the list of courses what we are going to train. Now the courses are displayed here. When I select on the course, corresponding data is coming here. When you select the course, I am trying to sell mobiles. List of all the mobile models will be coming here. When I select the mobile, particular model, the data will be displayed here. The data will be displayed here. Are you getting my point? Are you getting my point? Or else we can also go with data table. In the data table, what we are doing? In the data table, what we are doing? In the data table, what we are trying to do? I have a list of. This context is clear. List of courses are displayed here. List of products are displayed here. List of cards are displayed here. List of services are displayed here. Whichever the service you click, corresponding data will be displayed. So all these are what? Records in the table. Records in the table are displayed like an icon, just like this. Now, list of your products are displayed like this, right? When I click on this in the last fourth model, you are going to get the details of the product. Or else, I may go with the next story. What is my next story? I have a list of records here. Some data is displayed here. When I select this, data links. List of records are displayed, and here it is going to be blank. Whichever the record is selected, if I click on view, complete data should be displayed here. Name, I have a list of records. Whichever the record is selected, that data should be displayed. Or else I have a list of records here. Whichever the record is selected, that child records should be displayed here. Are you getting? List of record. Whichever the record is selected, the corresponding record should be displayed here. Is that was clear for everyone? So how do you display a record? We are going with record view form. 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 Trying to display the record. Okay, trying to display the record based on the ID what you have given. Whichever the record's ID is given, that particular record is displayed. Simply how we are trying to use. Right. Now I told you, previously we used to use a lighting design system for writing all this stuff. Now previously we have seen SLDS grid, okay, size 1 out of 4, 1 out of 12, we got it. But the same thing, it is simplified with a component called layout. Now whatever we have done in the previous case, SLDS, column length, grid box, all this I removed, simply applied a component called lighting layout. Okay, that's how the people are replacing the SLDS with a simple lighting components. Okay, right about. Now you got this, sir. Very good. What is the next one we have? This is for display purpose. This is for display. What if you want to edit? This is the output field. In your standard control, apex space, standard control equal to account, ID of the record you give, output field you give. But now there is other context. What is that? Apex space, standard control equal to account, input field is there, no? Like output field, we have input field also, right? So if you want to go with the input field, then we have next concept called lightning edit form. The previous one what you have seen is lightning record view form, that is only for display, output field. If you want to enter the data, then we have lightning input field, where we are going to take lightning record edit form. We are going to take lightning record form, lightning record form, lightning record form. What is the lightning record form? We are trying to enter the data. Whenever we are going to use standard controller, we have two concepts: output field, input field. Output field is to display the data, input field is to take the data. Similarly, in the lightning data services, we have two concepts. Lightning, okay, we have two concepts. One of the concept is edit form, another one is view form. One is edit form, another one is view form. What is the view form? Display the data. What is the edit form? Okay, enter the data. Once I enter, you may save it, you may edit it, it's up to your choice. Okay. Now, if you want to do this, what is the functionality we have, boss? Same story. Only the difference is, in the view form, we are going to keep it as edit form. In the view form, we are going to put it as edit form. Look at this. Whatever the component you got here, same story. There is no difference. Right. One minute. View form, I have to modify it as edit form. Now, this is how we got here. Account name, account phone. Then what is the context I have to give us? Record, layout. There is an attribute called multiple rows equal to true. That's what I told in the SLDS grid also. Generally, when you give grid, it will consider as a single row. If you want to enter multiple rows, there is an attribute called multiple rows equal to true. If you don't give multiple rows equal to true, what will happen? Go for a view. Because I gave multiple rows equal to true, we got this story. I hope you are good with this. Right. There also SLDS grid, whatever we gave 1 of 2, it is taking a single row. That's the reason third one, fourth one is not displayed. There also I have to give SLDS multiple rows equal to 2. There I have to specify the multiple rows in terms of CSS. Okay, that's why we skipped that and came to lightning layout. So if you want the data to be in multiple rows, we can give it. If you want the space, what we can give? Padding, small around. Right? Okay. I hope you are good with this. Right? So what is this? View form. What is this? Edit form. Now, people, they gave alternative. What is the alternative? Boss, you are taking a separate for editor, separate for view. Why don't we create a single component which can support both of them? Now, for view, you are taking a separate form. For edit, you are taking a separate form. Why don't we create a single one which can do all the things? Why don't we create a single one which can do all these things? So, to achieve this, people have given record form. Edit form is for input format. View form is for display format. Now when you want to go for record form, when I say record form, it is going to support all the things. The drawback with the edit form and view form is every field we are supposed to externally mention it. Output field, output field, output field, input field, input field, I have to mention everything. But when you say record form, there is an attribute in which we can give a list of fields which should be displayed. I don't want to mention every field manually. I will simply give list of field names using which it is going to display it. Now when I say record form, there is an attribute called fields. If I give a list of fields, automatically all the fields will be displayed. If I give list of fields, instead of giving output field, output field, output field like this, you simply mention attribute, you can name equal to fields, type equal to list of fields. You just mention the list of fields, automatically it is going to form. See, I'll give you the context here. Why I have taken only 4 fields? Because I have to mention each and every field. Output layout, okay, lighting layout item, output field, layout item, output field. If I have 40 fields, I cannot write all this stuff. So I want a simplified format in which all the 40 fields can be displayed faster. Are you getting? Because there are 2-3 fields I am writing output field, input field, input field. If there are 40 fields what I want to display, then this approach will not be a right approach for me. It takes more time. Then the people have given you a concept called lightning record form, where in the lightning record form we have mode. What we have? Mode. Let me define the things here. First we have mode. This mode will tell you whether it is in the edit mode or read mode. Okay. Now mode is view for reading. Mode is edit. Mode is edit or mode is default mode is what? Edit. There is an attribute called mode which will tell you whether it's a view or edit. So instead of giving lightning view form, lightning edit form, I simply give mode equal to view, mode equal to edit. So what I was doing, lightning record view form, lightning edit form. So they have removed view, they removed edit. What is the structure we had seen, boss? This is what I did. So what is this? Now what is this? Lightning record form. Right? Next, if it is edit, what we are taking? Like this I'm doing. There we have a layout. What is the layout? Layout full. Full means full detail field. Every field that is there in the detail page. Every field that is there in the detail page. Every field that is there in the detail page. When you open any particular record, there are 2 forms. Compact layout. Compact layout is a compact view of the record. This is the detail page. This is the detail page. This is the compact. You want all the fields which are available here or all the fields which are available here. If you want to see all the fields which are there in the detail page, full. Layout type equal to full. No, I want only the fields which are there in the compact layout. We can say layout type equal to compact. So either I can give layout as a compact or layout as a full. So what is the next attribute we have seen? Layout type. What is this layout type? It can be for compact or full. Compact or full. Now previously what we used to do? I used to write output field name, output field industry, output field, okay, like this. Here no need to mention, simply say layout type equal to full. Automatically in the detail page, what all the fields are there, all those fields will complete. All those fields will complete. Whatever the fields that are there in the compact layout, all those fields will complete. Boss, I don't want to display all those fields. I want to display only few of the fields. When you say full, all the fields in the detail page are coming. When you say compact, all the fields in the compact layout are coming. I don't want to take all the fields in the full layout or all the fields in the compact layout. I want to take only few fields of my choice. Then both of them are not suitable to us, right? There comes the option. There comes the option. Fields. Where is the fields? There comes the option. What is this? Fields. Here we can specify the specific fields which you want. Now the point is, boss, you want to refer to all the fields, you can refer it. Layout type equal to full. I want to refer to only compact fields, layout type equal to compact. Layout type equal to compact. No, I want to take only my specific fields, then we have an option called fields. Then we have an option called fields. I hope you're good. Right? Now what are the attributes we have? Record ID, ID of the record which you want to display, object API name, name of the object which you want to refer, layout type, compact or full, how many columns per row, how many columns you want to take, number of columns per row, then mode, edit or full, record type ID. In case you want to open that particular record with respect to one record type, now whatever the record we are giving, that record should be opened in a particular, I told layout equal to full, but on the full there are two page layouts, there are two record types. I want to open this particular record with respect to that particular record type, then mention the record type ID. Then these are all the action. You want to perform some action like save or that we can do it. So what was the functionalities we have? What are the functionality? List of fields, record ID, object API name, layout type, columns, mode, record type ID. I hope this context is clear for everyone. So whatever we are able to achieve with respect to record view form, record edit form, that is simplified by using what? Record form. Whatever we are achieving with the help of record view form, record edit form, those things are simplified with the help of record form. I hope everyone is good. Okay. Let us take a few examples. Yes, Amma, any query?
Okay. Can this record ID, object API name, can they be variables or it has to be the hard-coded values?
No, it's not hard-coded value. It's going to be variable. Now,
okay,
we have done an example in this context. Look at the point. Yesterday, right, when you click on the record, the ID will be passed. Whichever the ID we pass, that based on the ID, we are getting the data. Whichever the ID we pass it. If you remember well, we have done one pick list concept, right? What was that? Choose the pick list, choose the object. The pick list, choose the object, based on the object, go to schema, get the fields and display. And we have done events. Now this way the concept of events will be helpful to you. Now whichever the record you select, when event of onSelect happened, now it will, JavaScript will be called. The JavaScript will pass the ID of the record to another component. The other component is going to display. Now if you want to display this data, what we need? We need the ID. Now right now I am putting the ID as a static, hard-coded value. I don't want to make it as a static. I want to make it as a dynamic. Then what do? When you click on the component, the particular record ID should be passed to JavaScript. From JavaScript, I read the ID, put that ID in an event, fire it. Then other component is going to handle, take the ID from the operation. Basically, it's a dynamic operation. Okay. Only for demonstrating the basic example, I was taking physical values, hard-coded values. Okay, number.
Thank you.
Right. Now, look at the form. Let us take one or two examples quickly. I hope people are good with these basic concepts. I'm just copy pasting the code. Everyone has followed this, right? Now, let me know if you're not followed, I'll type it. If the basic concepts, I think we can push off faster. If anybody finding difficult, let me know, I can type it and explain line by line. If anybody is finding difficult, let me know, I can type and explain line by line. I feel these are very simple things to be. Right. Now, go back to the concept here. Idea I'm going to take. ID of the record, account, layout type equal to full, mode equal to. Now let me give some breakage on this. Now, basically, per row, how many we have? Per row, how many we have? One field per row. Okay. One row, one field per row. Right. Now, first one, what is the layout we told? Full layout. Okay, mode equal to view. Yesterday, some girl has asked me the question. I am using a record view form. Okay, how do you enable it? So, if you convert the record view form to record form, we have inline edit concept. We have inline edit concept. Yesterday, some girl has asked me record view form. You want to display it in the inline edit. So, take a record form, automatically it will be coming in the form of inline edit. Okay. What is the next one we got here? We got here. Okay. Per row only one column. Second one we have per row I gave number of columns equal to 3. Third one input I gave, because I gave input we are getting it. And this one, if you look at this, only name, account type, phone number, website, owner ID, industry, parent account. Look at this. Type, phone number, website, account owner, account site, industry. We are getting these fields. Look at the output here. Name, account type, phone number, website, owner ID, industry, billing address. Why we are getting only this? Compact layout. This compact layout. The fields on the compact layout are fields on the full. When you say view, this is the form in which we are getting. If you say edit, then you are getting in the form of editable format. Right? I hope you are good with this. I hope you are good with this. ID of the record, name of the object, layout type equal to full, mode equal to view. Mode equal to view. The other one what we have taken? Mode equal to edit. Mode equal to edit. What type of layout is this? Compact layout. Mode equal to edit. What type of layout is this? Compact layout. So there are only 4 attributes you are seeing: record ID, object name, layout, mode. What is the other one we have? Fields. I don't want to put all the fields. I want to take the fields of my choice. Don't give me all the fields which are available. Give me only the fields of my choice. Then what I'm going to take? If you want to take only the fields of your choice, take an attribute. Then I am not using layout. I am using the concept of fields equal to v dot. Now, what was that? NING. Right, let's go back to the concept, have a preview. Check out the format, it was ID of the record, object name, default. I will not mention the field names here. Phone. list of fields. Go back to the view form. This is everything: account name, phone, industry, energy. I don't want to take all the fields. I want to take only the fields of my choice. Then we are giving. Now I want to take 4. I have taken it. If you want to make it dynamic, go to the JavaScript. In the JavaScript, write some logic what you want. Get the field names and use it. Are you getting my point? Now here I want to take straight away and to get default values. Now you want to write some logic and get the field names on event, on load. Go back to the JavaScript. Jira handler, name equal to init, value equal to this. Go to the JavaScript, set the value of the fields and use those fields. Instead of giving this, what I can do, I can straight away go to JavaScript here. Jira handler. Now in the JavaScript, you can set the values of the fields. Am I right? Am I right, boss? Am I right or no? I can go to JavaScript. In the JavaScript, I can put it. If not followed, ask. Don't put a question marks, boss. I find it very hard to understand your face reading. Right.
So Satish, if I want to display that form in the, like for each row, I want 3 columns.
Columns equal to 3.
Okay.
And Satish, so when it is mode is equal to full, it follows the left to right on the page layout assigned for that object and user for the record type ID. Is it right?
Come again.
When I say mode is equal to full, it shows all the fields.
Yes.
So the it follows the order what is mentioned or what is assigned for that object for that user in the detail page,
Exactly.
in the view page.
Exactly.
Okay.
See, his question is, when you give mode equal to full, in which order the fields will be displayed? Right. When the user logged in, he has a page layout for him. In the detailed page, page layout is there. In the page layout, the order which you have given, in the same order, the fields will be displayed. Okay. The current user who logged in, for him, some layout is the same. In the layout, whatever the order is given, the same order will be followed. Right. Okay. So what I was giving.
Satish, record ID, we are hard coding, right? Can we
Yes.
make it
We'll
LS?
do it, Amma. We'll do it. First, let us understand this concept. I'll come back to the next one. Okay.
Yeah.
I am going to merge this with events. There I'll be using the passing of file. Okay.
Okay.
Right now I'm hard coding it. I'll make an example with a combination of events. There I'm going to pass the value. First, let us get the core purpose of the concept. Okay. Now, okay. Go back to the concept. Go to the view. Somebody is asking. So, what are the list of fields, right? I give a couple of fields: name, phone, industry, rating, ownership, so on. Right, Amma? This is how I'm getting. The fields are assigned from the script. The fields are assigned from the script. The fields are assigned from the script. Now, is the was clear for everyone? Okay. Is the was clear for everyone? The same concept. The same concept. Can I use within an iteration? If I have a list of IDs, I wrote a query, I got the list of IDs. Now in the era iteration, where I have a list of IDs. In the era iteration, if I give record view form, if I mention 3 fields, what will happen? Now look at the context. If I write the code like this, what will be the context? Era iteration.
Satish, one more thing. If I want to
Let me finish this. Okay, just let me finish this example. Some data. Okay. record. Now tell me what will be the output of this? In the data there are 3 records. 3 times the record views. Record view form, okay, record form 1, record form 2, record form 3. Can I get all the list of records? Can I get all the list of records?
Yes.
Right. Now this will give in a single row. In a single row, I'm going to get the data like this. Last name, first name. Now, but the display will be like this. Now the display will be like this. Again, it will give last name. For every row, we get the corresponding. The headers will be coming for every row because we are taking a record before. Now, here I will get also inline edit. If you want to get inline edit, if you want to modify, you can modify it. This is how the output will come. Am I right or no? Now, so with respect to, still we are not done the how to pass the ID of the record. But I am giving one of the example with respect to what we have seen. Here I pass the record ID. Now here I am not giving the ID of the record statically. I am taking the ID of the record as what? A.ID. Are you getting my point? Okay. Just to demonstrate that we are passing the ID, then we think, okay. But this is not actual use cases what we are going to use. Our use cases are going to be with respect to events and LDS. So we need to take an example of events and LDS. There's a general usage of your, okay, general usage of your record view form. Just to, because people are asking how to pass it, just one context I have given. This is not the practical context. This is only to just to convey that ID can be passed in this way. Right, Amma? Is that was clear? Okay. Yes. Online. Yes. Go ahead, Amma. What is your query? Some girl was asking a question.
If I want to, if I don't want to display the field which is value, which value is a null, so can we do that?
See here. Now here we are not dynamically checking the values. List of fields what you give, those will be displayed here. List of fields what you give. That, so if the value of the field is blank or not, unless I fetch the data, I will not be knowing. You are not fetching the data and you are displaying. Now ID is given, based on the ID, automatically data is displayed. So you cannot control which field is blank, which field is not blank. Okay.
Yeah.
Then this is not the context. Then this is not the context. Look at the point. She has a question. We are fetching the data and trying to display. If the value of a field is a null, I don't want to display. Is it possible with this record form? So is it possible with the record form? The classroom?
No.
Right. Right. So that's what I was trying to convey this to this online girl. So the question was, if a field is blank, value of a field is blank, can I control that? Now here we don't have the choice because whatever the list of fields you have given, straight away they will be displayed. Whatever the list of fields you have given, straight away those fields will be displayed. We will not be having any choice to control it. Okay. Now let us come back to the next one. I hope everyone is good with this. Let me move on to the next one. What is the next one we had? Lightning form, lightning view form, lightning edit form, lightning form. All the 3 concepts are clear. Now, okay. So what is the best substitute for this? Either lightning view form or record form. Record form will be easy for us to control because we can avoid the burden of writing all the fields. Right now? Okay. So what was the next thing that I have is core lightning data services. Now whatever you have seen, just trying to display the records. But there is a core lightning data services. What are the core lightning data services? When I say record form, look at the point. It's very important. This is going to be very, very, very useful to you. It's very, very important. It is going to be very, very important. Just listen to the format. Now, whatever the lightning record form you have taken, so same lightning record form we are going to use in the whatever the lightning record form we have taken, same lightning record form we are going to use in referring to the data. But here, when you take a Visual Force page, how you define Apex page standard controller. Now, when you say standard controller, and I have given account.name. Now, whose account name? You take like this. From how are you passing the record ID? In the previous example, I gave a static value of okay. Now, if you want to run this Visual Force, forget about lightning. In the Visual Force, if you want to run this page, what we do? /fx page name !ID equal to. Am I right? This is one context. Suppose if you are using Apex page standard controller equal to account example. Then in their context, how the record ID is coming? This extension class is that public class example. I was taking public example Apex page dot. Then here you are using semicolon. Right. Now, there are the two contexts where I am going to use standard control in the VF page. These are only two contexts, right? Am I right? The Visual Force, if you want to refer to a standard controller, either first example or second example. If you are taking the first example, now whatever the ID we are passing in the URL, that ID I have to capture it. Whichever the record ID we are passing the URL, that record ID I am going to capture it. Now you are using a standard controller with extension from some page, some from record. I have a record like this. When I click on a button called New Contact, this record ID will be passed to standard set controller. The record from where I click the button, the record ID will be passed to Apex pages dot standard controller. Am I right or wrong? Have you followed the point? The record from where I am clicking, the particular record will be passed as Apex pages dot standard controller. So either I have to pass the ID in the URL or the record from where I am clicking, the record ID should be passed. Same concept in the lightning, what we are saying, LDS. I told same functionality in the lightning, it is implemented with the help of lightning data services. In the lightning data services, what we have? Lightning record. Now till now I gave physical ID. I don't want to take the ID of the record directly. Now whichever the record, from whichever the record I am clicking on this, when whichever the record I added this component, whichever the record I added this component, in whichever the record I added this component, that record ID should be captured. In whichever the record page I am adding this component, that record ID should be captured. That means from the URL capture the ID. Then what should I do? I have to implement an interface. What is that interface? Force has record ID. Now, when your component implement an interface called force has record ID, it ensures that whatever the record ID is there in the URL is captured and is providing the record ID. Has record ID. It will ensure that you are supposed to pass ID of the record in the URL and we are capturing that ID of the record. Whichever the record ID we are capturing, the record ID is automatically stored to a variable called record ID. Now look at the point here. Now has record ID in the URL of the record page, whatever the record ID is there, I am capturing the record ID and then holding it. It is mandatory that you have to pass record ID. It ensures that the URL contains record ID. The URL contains record ID. When I say force has record ID, it ensures that in the URL of the page, In the URL of the page on which you are using right now, that contains a record ID. Otherwise, it throws an error message. Now, whatever the ID is there, capture that ID, store in a variable called record ID. Store in a variable called record ID. In the URL, whatever the record ID we are passing, the record ID I have to capture it and I have to store in a variable called record ID. Right? Is that was clear? So if you want to use LDS service dynamically, what I was supposed to do? Implement an interface called force has recording. Force has recording. This point was clear? Okay. Now come back to the second story. Second story is, boss, till now we have done a lot of pages, right? Till now we have created a lot of components. Now go to this page, click on setup, go to the record, click on setup. What are you finding here? Edit page. When you click on edit page, now you are getting Lighting App Builder page. Okay. Now you are able to see this is one component, this is another component, this is another component, right? This is the page. All these are what? Combination. If you scroll down, how many components you are finding here? Component zeros. Why our components are not displayed here? Why are components? So we have done a lot of lightning components, right? From last 4-5 weeks we have done a lot of components, but they are not displayed here. So to tell you this point, let me give a quick comparison with the Visual Force. If you want to override any one of the button on the account page, the Visual Force page should contain what? On account page layout, I want to add one extra button. Now, when you click on the button, VF page should open. Which VF page will open? Which VF pages will be displayed? Whichever the VF pages contain standard control equal to account, only those pages will be displayed to you when you want to override the buttons on the account, or when you want to override the buttons on the account, or when you want to create a new buttons on the account. If it is an account object, then only those VF pages which contain standard control equal to account, those VF pages will be displayed. Am I right or no? Do you remember the extension concepts? If you want to create a button or you want to replace a button, then only those VF pages which contain the standard control equal to that object, only those pages will be displayed. Here also the same concept. When you want to add any component, to the record page, home page, this is called record home page of the record. Then we are supposed to implement an interface called flexi page available for record home. Only those components which implement an interface called flexi page available for record home, only those components will be available for adding them in the page. So that's the reason till today we didn't implement any interface. That is the reason we didn't find any one of these components. Zero components. Okay, which components will be available if you want to add any component on the record home page? If you want to add any component on the record home page, the component should implement record flexi page available for record home page. Only when you implement that will be available. I hope you are good. Context is clear. Okay. Now let me take an example quickly. Now, how to implement this? If you know, you can type it, boss. If you don't know, simply you can go to this. Lightning component. Lightning record page. This is a button. Now what we got here? Available for. So when you are trying to create a component, there is a button. What is that? Lightning record page. When I select this, automatically we get a component which implements this. What was that? Implements flexi available for record home page, force recording. I selected the checkbox. All those checkboxes are interfaces. In the different context, we have different interfaces. I hope you're good. I hope you're good with this. Once you implemented this, let me copy. Now look at this. Now we got here name, phone, industry, the first line I want to give a list of field names which I want to display. Then record form, which record you want to display? I don't want to pass a static value. All your previous examples are what? Static values. I don't want to pass my static value. In whichever the record page I added this component, the record ID will be taken. In whichever the record page I have taken, in whichever the record page I have taken, whichever the record page, in whichever the record page I was added, in whichever the record page I was added, the record ID I want to capture because I have force as record ID. This is going to capture the ID of the record on which we added this component. This is going to capture the ID of the record on which we added this component. The rest of the things are simple. Object name, what fields I gave here, number of columns 2, then mode equal to anything. Let me say columns equal to 1. I got this one. Now, till now what we have done, if you want to execute a component, we added this component to application, then we are executing. Now we don't want to create any more applications. Straight away we want to create a component added to the existing functionalities. Till now, whatever we want to build, what we have done, created a component, added the component in the application, running the application C. Now I don't want to run it. Now I don't want to run it from the application. Straight away this component I want to add it to the functionality. Let us go back and see. Previously there are 0. Now we are able to see component 1 because we added flexi page available for record on page. Take this component, add it the way you want. We took the component, added to the page. Right. Save it. Activate it. Save it and activate it. Okay. Go to the record and see. Go to the edit. Take the component. Edit. The 2 components available here. Record. Okay. What is the layout we added here? Come back here. Any layout? I don't need this compact layout because already I gave fields. It is sufficient for me. I already gave fields. It's sufficient for me. So go back. Refresh. Once you are doing with the changes with this, wait for the changes to be replicated on the page. So go back to this. Component is added here. Save. Activate. Save it. Then go back to the record and see. This is how the component what we created: account name, account phone, industry, rating, ownership. How this data is coming? Whichever the record where this component is added, in whichever the record the component is added, in whichever the record the component is added, the same record ID is taken and the data is displayed. Is that was clear for everyone? Right. The first example I have taken the same account data and displaying it. The practical approach will be creating a child object. Now, to demonstrate this, you have taken the same record. But practical approach is, from account page, I want to create a new contact. From account page, I want to create a new opportunity. From account page, I want to create a new child record. From account page, I want to create a new child, new contact, new opportunity. That is my practical approach. Just to demonstrate the first example, I have taken. I want to just convey you the message. Whichever the ID of the record we are taking here, the same ID is passed here. To convey that, I have taken the same record. What was our intention? To convey you, has record ID will capture ID of this record and will pass the ID of the record here. Right? So, I hope you are good. But what is our requirement? My requirement is, I want to create contact record for this. Now, I want to create a contact. In the account page, I have this component. This is what? Contact, last name, first name, phone. When I click on save, whichever the account page from where I am clicking the save button for the contact, this should be child of the account. This is the account page, right? In the account page, I need to get a component called contact creation. When I click enter the data, click on save, this should be saved as a child of the account. But if you want to create a contact, I want to use again a record form. Using a record form, I want to create a edit mode of the record. Are you trying to get my point? Okay. Now, listen to the example one more time. What if you don't give record ID? I didn't give record ID. What if you don't give record ID? Will the changes be reflected? What happened? New instance. You don't give it a new instance. Right? But what happened? The object should be created in the backend, right? Otherwise, it will be what? Nullify. I didn't mention the ID of the record, so we got a box. So when I want to create a record, what should I do? When I want to create a record, first I have to create a contact form. So record form, if you give the ID of the record, it will refer to the record. If you don't give the ID of the record, it simply create a blank structure. Now, when I want to create a new record, ID will not be there, right? When you are trying to create a new record, ID will not be there. I will not be able to provide the ID. Am I right? When I want to edit the record, ID will be there. I will be able to modify it. If I want to delete it, ID will be there. I will delete it. When I want to create a new record, ID will not be there. So record view form will refer to the record. If the ID was there, it will refer to the particular record. If ID is not there, it simply creates a blank instance of the object. I hope you are good with this. Right. Now, why did we get into this form now? Because I want to discuss about the next concept. What was that called? I want to handle the next concept. What are our concepts here? I want to handle the concept called record data. What is the concept here? Record data. I want to handle the concept here called record data. Now, what is this record data? How we can handle it? These three concepts are clear: view form, edit form, record form. Okay. Now, with the record data, it has to be merged. Now, whatever we are doing, all the combination together, we can form an example. Okay. Let us see. All these are falling under data services. Okay. Now, when you say record data, boss, I want to refer to the record which you are specifying. Now, we have a standard functionalities like create. when you take Apex page standard controller, action save, action edit, action delete, action. We have global actions. Do you remember that? If I give Apex page standard control equal to account, page block buttons, command button, okay, value equal to save, action equal to save. The save function was defined by Salesforce. Similarly, from the Lightning component, whenever we are using a Lightning data services, we also have some of the standard functionalities. Right? What are they? What are they? Creating a record, editing a record, saving a record, deleting a record. Without going to the Apex class, if you want to perform any changes in the VF page, what we do? I don't want to interact with the Apex class. Straight away, I want to delete the record. Then we have Apex page, standard control equal to account, command button, action equal to delete. Because every standard controller has some global action like save, edit, delete. Now, why you are using standard controller? I don't want to go to Apex class without interacting with Apex class, without interacting with the server side action. I want to perform some global operation like save, edit, delete. Then we are going to use Apex page standard controller. The purpose of the standard control is what? I don't want to refer to the server side controller actions. I want to refer to the exact functionalities which are already defined and I want to handle it. Similarly, in the Lightning data services also, they don't want to interact with the server side operation. Right now, if you want to save the record, what are you doing? In the component, when you click a button, JavaScript will be called. JavaScript will pass this data to Apex class. Apex class is saving the record. If you want to delete the record, what are you doing? Right? In the component, you are clicking the button. It is going to the JavaScript. JavaScript is passing the data to Apex class. Apex class is deleting the record, coming back. So all the DML operations are performed on server side using an Apex class. Am I right or no? All the DML operations are performed on the server side using the Apex classes. I don't want to interact with the Apex classes. I want to perform the DML operations. I don't want to interact with the Apex class, but I want to perform the DML operation. There we take the combination of LDS with the LDS and record form. Now here we have the major concept here, which is called record data. What was the concept we have? Record data. We have a concept called record data. Now in the record data, what we are trying to have? Has record ID. What was that has record ID? It is going to refer to the ID of the record from where you clicked. Am I right? Now if I add a component to a page, record page, on which record you added this component, that record ID will be coming here. Am I right or no? Right, boss? Has a record ID means in whichever the record page we added this component, that record ID will be coming. That record ID is referred as b.record ID. Fine. Then we have boss, fetch the data. Now record ID. Then we have target fields and the fields. Which fields you want to fetch from this record? Which fields you want to fetch? List of fields. Same story like record ID, fields. Record form, how did you do it? Record ID, fields. Here, no need to mention the name of the S object. No need to mention the name of the S object. When you say record form, we used to mention type of S object. It's okay, object API name. But here there is no need to mention the API name. Simply we are giving record ID. Then we are saying which fields you want to fetch. Then target fields. When you say target fields, the data what you fetched in this record, you are fetching the following data. Now where is this data stored? I don't want to display. I want to store in a particular variable. Record form is for displaying. But where are you storing the data in the record form? Look at the point. Now, record form used. This is for display, very good. But the record what I fetched, where I am storing it? If I store somewhere, then I can perform some logic on it. See, you are getting a record form, boss. Record form came. It is useful for display purpose. But if I want to make some changes and save it, how will you make the changes? Now we need to store the data, no? We are supposed to store the data. Whatever the record we are displaying, where is that complete record data stored? We don't have the access to the record. But when you say record data, whichever the record I am referring, get that record, store it in a variable, and use the data from that variable. Are you getting my point? Are you getting my point? Boss, whatever the record ID I am giving, whatever the fields I am giving from that record, fetch these fields data and store it in a variable. And perform your logics on this variable. If I know it is an account ACC, I can do whatever the logic I want. I can do creation of account, I can do deletion, I can do operation. Now, if you don't store in a variable, then how do you know which record is this? Are you getting my point? So, what is the record data is doing? Whatever the record ID you have given, okay, whatever the fields you mentioned from that record with the following fields, record is fetched, that is stored to a variable. What is that variable called? What is the variable that we have taken? Target fields, v dot account record. So, what is that v dot account record? It is a record. Now, whatever the record we are fetching, the record is stored here. What is the record is stored here? I can pass this record. Once the record is stored here, on this record, save. On this record, edit. On this record, delete. Are you getting my point? When you say account ACC, insert ACC, update ACC, delete ACC. Whatever the record I am referring, the record is stored. What is the record, boss? Target fields. What is the record? Target fields. I hope you are good with this format. Clear, boss? Clear? Okay. So let us do basic example. Then I get into the logical operations. So, you're finding any difficult in this, let me know. If you find anything new in this, let me know. I don't want to add it here. Let me build a separate component. It's okay. Let me do this. So what I will be doing here, now what is your basic index number? What is your basic index? Pause. What is your basic index? My basic index is, without going to the text class, I want to perform the DML operation on the data. That is a basic operation. There is a core operation of your standard controller also. In the LDS also, the core operation is, without going to the database, I want to perform some DML operation. So go back to the structure. What is the data we got here? Account name. Let me go back. You're not displayed. It's not still applied here. Lightning code account. V dot ACC. Now, how I was able to? Because record was stored to ACC. Now, I am referring the data from ACC. Because the record was stored to ACC, I am referring the data from. Now, once that record was stored to a variable, I can use in the way I want. Okay. Now it takes some time. Because it is in the cache, it takes time for duplicating this. Right. Look at the structure what I give. Record data, name, phone, rating, type. Name, phone, rating, type. Name, phone, rating, type. Okay. Now if I make any changes here, the changes should be automatically applied here. If I make any changes here, because I am referring to the same record, if I make any changes here, automatically they should be reflected here. So what is your intention? You are referring to the same record. Now here, I want to save the record. I want to delete the record. I want to update the record. Now record data is referring to the record based on the ID what you have given. Boss, if we give the ID of the record, if you tell me the fields from that record, these fields data is captured, stored as a record in the variable. Now from that record, the variable what I stored on that variable, I can perform whatever the logic I want. This is the core object here. In the record view form or record edit form or record form, we are able to display it, but we are not able to store the data in a variable. Now here, whatever the record ID you have given, whatever the fields you mentioned, based on your record ID, based on the fields what you mentioned, I am capturing that particular record, holding in a variable. Once I got the data in the variable, on this variable, you tell me what you want to perform. And whatever you want to perform, this operation also should be performed without interacting with Apex. Right? So, are you finding any difference in this context? If you give record form, straight away record is displayed in the standard look and feel. But when you say record data, record is not displayed. You are trying to display the way you want. When you say record view, record form, it was trying to display the data in the standard format. It was trying to display the data in the standard format. But when you say record data, it is not displaying the data. It is only capturing the record, that's all. Record data is only capturing the record data, that's all. Later on, you have to control how to display it. And what logic you want to perform it. I hope you are good with this. Clear for everyone? Clear? Any other queries from your end now? Coming? It takes time. It will take almost 2 hours. So, right. Then we'll see it in the next session. The DML operation will take almost 2 hours. It's not a single line. It will take almost 2.5 hours for creation. Okay. Because let's deal with the dynamic deal. Okay. It will take almost 2 hours. Next Saturday complete will be covered on this. Right. Any other queries till now? Any other queries? Okay. So on this still we are left with performing the DML operation. That will be covering on next Saturday. The complete Saturday will be spent on that. It takes almost 2 to 2.5 hours for completing the task. Okay. But any query on the topic what you have seen? Right. Now you tell me how we are going to achieve it. Now tell me, look at this. Now you are supposed to achieve this example from your end. Try from your end. Already we have done this example. In the beginning classes we have done this example. 10:30 class was there about. Now, okay, let me make it simple. Name of the product. Write a query on the product object. Then you display like this. Name, price. List of all the products should be displayed like this. List of all the products should be displayed. Write a SQL query. Display the data like this. Now, this entire thing should be, the page should be like this. We already done the partial operation for this. You just check it out. You are going to enter the product name, product family or product name. Here the product family should be given. When you click on the product family, use a pick list field. When I select the product family, When I select the product family, like I got courses, Salesforce, admin development integration. Okay, there is a Java, core Java, advanced Java studs. Okay, now create some products. Product family should be Salesforce, product family is Java, product family is Oracle, like that. When I select the product family, list of the courses should be coming here. Okay, name of the course, the price, like this all the courses. When I click on this course, whichever the course I selected, the course data should be visible here. This is my context. Now I need a component where I have pick list there. I am going to display the list of product names. How are you going to product names? We don't know. You go to product object, in the product family you keep Salesforce, Java, some product, okay, product families you can create. When you, the list of options what you are getting, this should be schema. When the component is loading, go to the Apex class, go to the product object, in the product family, what are the list of pick list options are there, capture those list of pick list options, display here in the form of product family. Now, when the component is getting loaded, go to the Apex class, go to the schema programming, in the product object, in the product family, what all the options are there, capture those options, with those options, display the product family. When I select the product family, based on the product family, list of courses should come. List of courses should be coming in this structure. When I select the course, the corresponding course data should be displayed here. This is my requirement. Now you will be able to achieve with whatever the examples you have done till today. This functionality can be achieved with respect to the examples what we have done till today. From day 1 till today, whatever you have done, with the help of those, you will be able to achieve. Schema programming already covered. How to get the list of pick list. How to create a pick list you have done. When you click on the go, now what is happening? When the event occurs here, now what is this? Look at the point. This is one component. This is another component. This is another component. So total how many components are there? 3 components. When the event occurred in the component 1, component 2 should handle. When event occurred on the component 1, component 2 should handle. When you enter the data, click on go. Whatever the option you selected, with that option, the data has to go to the server, get the data. Now this component 2 is only displaying what? List of records in the particular format. So whatever the data we are fetching in the first component, the data should be passed to second component. So the second component is going to display. Or else, based on the option what you selected, pass the product family as parameter to second component. Second component, by taking the product family, write a SQL query, get the data, display it. Now one more event. When I click on the product name, that name of the record record ID should be passed to third one. So what is this? Component level event or application level event? It's component or application. Now we are passing the data to siblings. It should be what? Application. So here, when I enter the product name, the moment I change the product name here, we can straight away give on change. No need of go button also. We can remove this button. See, on change. Whenever the product name is changed, JavaScript will be called. Get the product name, put that in the event, find the event. Now this component is going to handle the event, get the product family from the event, and make a call to the Apex class. Based on this product family, what all the products are there, get those data, display this data. Whenever I click on any one of the element, then method is called. The method is going to take the ID of the record, put it in the event, find the event. Now this component, what it is going to do, whatever the event it is fired by the second component, third component is going to handle it. Third component, get the ID of the record, go with the record view form. The total how many events you require? 2 events. One event, on change of product family, JavaScript, fire the event. Second event, on select of any one of the course, second event will fire. First event is fired by this. This will fire first event. This will handle first event. This will fire second event. This will handle so this is the structure what I have. This is the structure what I have. Right? Can you achieve it? Try from it. Each and every part is done individually. We have covered each and every part separately. Now we need to merge them and build as a functionality. Try from your end. If any got stuck up, I'll be explaining the next session. Right? Chalo, that's all from mine. 8:30 batch class is there.